guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is kind of just an overview of what chronic illnesses I have, and kind of like the base of how I deal with them, I guess, because they are a lot to deal with, honestly. So yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about the chronic illnesses that I have. I have gastroparesis, EDS, and POTS. EDS stands for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and POTS stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Along with that, I also have WPW, which is Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. I've had 2 cardiac ablations to deal with my WPW, so that doesn't really contribute to many symptoms at all, if any. But my gastroparesis, my POTS, and my EDS contribute to a lot of symptoms. And so I want to start off with gastroparesis because I feel like I can touch on this a little bit less because I have done the in-depth of my gastroparesis story video, along with I'm also doing a video for each of these of like what are they, what are the causes, what are the symptoms, what are the treatment stuff for that. So my gastroparesis is what they call idiopathic, where they don't have a direct cause for why I have gastroparesis. And my gastroparesis is managed with medications. I take Linzess. I was taking Reglan. Reglan is a motility med, and so is Linzess. And as well as I also have a GJ feeding tube. A GJ feeding tube is a gastrojejunal feeding tube. It goes into your stomach, into your abdominal wall. It has a tube that goes into the stomach, and then it has tubing that follows through into your second part of your small intestine, your jejunum. So I do feeds through that to get most of my, not most, like that is my main source of nutrition. I eat still orally for pleasure. I have to be careful with what I eat because some things upset my stomach more than others. But because I have a GJ, I have that gastro port that I can actually drain stuff out of. So if need be, I can drain that whatever I ate out as long as it is drainable. So for example, the other morning I had a smoothie and it really upset my stomach. And so I just drained it right out of my stomach and I felt better. It relieved nausea, it relieved pain and bloating. And then you can also do something called venting. So you can drain a G tube and you can, well, not a G tube, a GJ. You can drain a GJ and you can vent a GJ. Venting is where you're letting all that air of your stomach go out. So if I'm really bloated, I will vent my stomach because it lets so much air and so much pressure off, and it's amazing. So that's kind of what I do for gastroparesis. I also try to manage with a different diet. I avoid high fibrous foods and like higher fatty foods because those seem to be my biggest triggers. So I try to avoid those the best that I can. So that's kind of how I deal with the gastroparesis side of my chronic illness. Then I have POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. A lot of people have the misconception of POTS, and that POTS is just a high heart rate. POTS is not just a high heart rate. It is also not technically a cardiac illness. POTS is a autonomic nervous system issue, and it can cause cardiac symptoms. So one of my biggest symptoms with POTS is tachycardia, which is a higher heart rate. So going up the stairs makes my heart rate spike really high. Standing up makes my heart rate spike really high. Leaning over and standing back up. Typically any position change messes with me standing for long periods of time. So when I go out and about, if I'm out for a long period of time, I actually use a wheelchair to help because POTS also comes with fatigue. I have chronic fatigue and I am constantly exhausted. No matter how much I sleep, no matter how much I rest, I'm constantly exhausted. And so part of trying to manage that is using mobility aids. I don't use a cane and I don't use a walker or like a rollator because those are hard on my joints with my EDS, and honestly that just hurts more. So I pretty much cut out the middleman and I go in a wheelchair. I just bought mine from, it's called Spin Life Mobility. It's online, and I pay monthly for my wheelchair. I got just like a simple wheelchair. I don't have a custom one. It's just a simple one, and I pay monthly for it. But that has like exponentially helped me with getting through longer days and not feeling like it's taking this huge toll on me for the days following. And so I also do, to manage my POTS, I also do salt tablets. I crush them up and I push them into my J tube. We are currently in the process of figuring out full symptom management for my POTS because I do not have the best symptom management with it. And so it's really kind of just watching what bothers me the most, trying to avoid that. So I have an Apple Watch, and I have this app on my watch. It's called Tachymon, and Tachymon looks like, it looks like this. I'm gonna turn you guys so you can see what it looks like. That's what Tachymon looks like. So that top number, that green number is my current heart rate. The number below it is the heart rate the last recorded heart rate, like what it's jumping from. And then the bottom one is what it's changing from, like how many, the variability between the two. So my heart rate was 137 last time it saw. I'm at 105 now, so it had like a 32 beat drop, variability drop. And so I have that on my watch so that when I am feeling bad, if I look at it and I'm like, oh wow, my heart rate is really high, I need to sit down, I know to sit down. So that's been like a really big lifesaver for me, honestly, and like really nice. And then just like, ironically, in my week in my life, I'm talking about caffeine. Typically, you're supposed to avoid caffeine when you have POTS because it can spike tachycardia. So I have 1 cup of coffee, this tiny little mug. It's like a 16-ounce mug, and I don't fill it up all the way. And that is my coffee for the day. I don't have anything other than that. And I really, it doesn't like make me get tachycardia or anything. Typically that would be like Red Bulls, Monsters, Rockstars, stuff like that. But I have found this energy drink. It's called Bloom Sparkling Energy, and it is so nice. It doesn't upset my stomach. It doesn't make me like get heart palpitations or tachycardia. It actually wakes me up. It's really great. You can find it at Target and Walmart, and it's like my best friend ever. So I would say, but I do it very much in moderation. I try to avoid too much caffeine. So, and then I have EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. There are 13 different types of EDS. I do not know my exact type of EDS. I'm going to do an entire video on the different types of EDS because people don't know that there's 13 types. There are so many different types, and people don't know like how it works, and it's really cool and it's really fun to learn about. And so yeah, so I have EDS. I'm not quite sure which one I have, but EDS is a connective tissue disorder, so it affects joints. It can also affect other systems of your body. So my EDS very well could be the cause for my gastroparesis and a multitude of other things like in my body. But my EDS, my shoulders dislocate, my knees dislocate, my hips dislocate. I have constant joint pain. I'd say really the only thing that I can do to manage my EDS is not pushing myself, making sure that I use a mobility aid if I need to use it that day, as well as compression. Compression is a big thing, and braces if I need it. I have a knee that likes to dislocate a lot because of past injuries along with my EDS. And so I have this brace that's supposed to keep my knee from dislocating, and it works really well, but it's really bulky and I hate wearing it. But I wear it when I need to. I wear it when I'm in pain and I keep dislocating because I don't want to keep relocating joints. That's not fun. And so that's kind of, EDS is harder to manage. I'm supposed to be doing physical therapy for my EDS along with pelvic floor therapy to help with symptom management with my gastroparesis, because my pelvic floor also does not work at full capacity. So that's part of some of my motility issues, but I have not found a physical therapist yet, nor did I have time before, but I have my time now. And then I forgot to mention this as well. I have reactive hypoglycemia, and that is kind of just a spin-off off of my gastroparesis and not being able to control my blood sugar. And so that's why like my feeds are very important, because it helps regulate my blood sugar as best that it can. And so with not being able to run feeds a certain amount of time, it really starts to like mess with me and stuff. But for that, I have a meter, a glucose meter, and I prick my finger and I test it, which can get very annoying and very frustrating because I do have to do that multiple times a day. And it has started to create scar tissue in my fingers, but it's better than not knowing what my blood sugar is and just going in blind. So this was just like an overview of what all I have. I'm going to do videos each in depth of exactly what each of these is and kind of what symptoms looks like, what causes are, treatment options, stuff like that, like typically who you'd go for that. But I felt like I should share all exactly what I have with a little bit of in-depth of, okay, this is kind of how I manage it, because I know everybody's different. Everybody's not going to manage it the exact same way, but hearing what somebody else might do might spark, okay, maybe I could try that. Obviously with gastroparesis and me having a feeding tube, that's like last cause, that's like last kind of source to go to that and essential line. But motility meds there are tons out there, and they are really worth trying and figuring out what works best for you. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comment down below. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I post, as well as hit that subscribe button so you don't lose my channel. Bye.
I got some color back, she thinks so too.